Hey Credit Warriors, welcome to the show, and today we are going to be talking about how to improve your credit score when you are already up at the lofty realms of above 750. Okay, so according to TransUnion, only 20% of Americans have a credit score over 780. So from that statistic, we can see that it's quite hard to improve your credit score when you are already up at those lofty realms. We have a video on this channel how to get to 700 within 6 months. I also have a video about how I got from nothing to 720 in just 1 year. So you can see from that your credit score can really blast up really fast at the beginning if you do things right. But once you get above 700 and then certainly above 750, it really slows down. Since I got to around 760, I think in 1 year I've only risen 10 points. So we're going to have a look at the factors that will improve this. So let's start on Credit Karma, and I'll show you my score is 772 right now, and you can see that the top 3 factors at the top of this list. Okay, Credit Karma lists 6 factors that affect your credit, a little bit different to some of the more traditional ways that work it out, but anyway, so you can see these top 3. Credit usage is at 10%, that's utilization of the overall credit amount, that's great. Payment history is 100%. That looks great, at least on the surface, and derogatory marks are 0, so that is great as well. Now we'll look down at these 2 factors that are showing red, negative factors, okay? So credit history. Credit history accounts for 15% of your score, and it's basically, most commonly, it's talked about as the average age of open accounts, okay? And they do also take into effect your longest account and all stuff like that, but alright, we'll just talk about average age of open accounts. You can see mine, 2 years, 3 months. That's quite a short period of time. If we actually click into that and have a look, Credit Karma only gives you green after 7 years. Okay, so the first 2 are yellow, red, then you go to yellow, and then it's green after 7 years. So it's only really considered good if you have 7 years of history. And that is because basically credit scores most commonly are based off of 7 years of information. Certainly for the negative information, by law that comes off your credit report after 7 years. Most negative information, not all, but just in general, it's kind of a 7-year period that is looked at. So if you have a credit history less than 7 years, that's definitely going to have an effect. And as your credit history gets longer, obviously that will have less and less of a negative effect, and once you're at 7 years, it's going to be having a positive effect, that long credit history after that. But it's only 15%. However, at the lofty realms of 750 and above, you're looking at these factors that account for a lot less of the overall credit score to improve to get you up to that next level. But that's not the end of the story with credit history, because although credit history only accounts for 15%, payment history actually accounts for 35%. So if you've had missed payments, okay, or negative things like that, missed payments in your payment history, those will stay on your credit report for 7 years, all right? And they will be a factor pulling your credit score down a little bit for 7 years. Obviously, the longer they get into the past, the less effect they will have. They have the biggest effect within the most recent 2 years. Once they're out of that, they're getting further and further into the past, they affect your score less and less. Likewise, if you have a score that's less than 7 years, only a couple of years as credit history, you've only got 2 years worth of on-time payments. So because you don't have the full 7 years history of on-time payments, that will also have a negative effect. So basically, you want the full 7 years on average age of accounts, or as long as possible, leading up to 7 years, and as long as possible as well, ideally 7 years on the payment history too. And so you can see for these 2 factors, it's really just a waiting game. Maintain good habits, always paying on time, and just wait. And the longer time you go, the more your credit score will improve. Now let's look at the next negative factor on my report that Credit Karma displays, and that is the number of accounts, okay? So you'd think that having less accounts would actually be good because it's like, oh, you're not desperate for credit or whatever. That is not the case. The credit card companies, credit unions, they want to see more accounts. They think it shows that you are responsible with handling a lot of different credit accounts. And on Credit Karma, if you click in there, it shows having more than 10 accounts, so 11 or more accounts is good. So anything under that is going to be slightly pulling down your credit score. So basically that takes a bit of time as well, because you can't just all of a sudden do like 10 hard inquiries with loads of different banks and get 10 credit cards at a time, because those hard inquiries will tank your score too. So basically, you know, you may apply for one new credit card every 6 months or whatever. It might take you 3 or 4 or 5 years to get 10 accounts, okay? So this one, you know, you can be proactive about it with applying for new credit cards, but at the end of the day, it's also a waiting game. And, you know, for certain banks, like Chase has the 524 rule, so you can't apply for more than 5 cards in a 24-month span if you want to get new Chase cards in the future. So you do have to kind of pace yourself with it. Now, the last factor I'm going to talk about, it's not a factor that Credit Karma displays on this page, but it is a factor that is normally listed in most models of how the credit score is worked out, and that is the mix of different types of credit accounts on your credit report. This accounts for 10%, so it's a reasonably small factor, but it will help your score if you have a diversification of credit accounts. So basically, most commonly, people start off their credit score with credit cards. You know, they just get a load of credit cards, that's it. You need to have installment information, installment loan information on there. Installment loans basically are, you know, most common, it's mortgages or car loans. Basically any loan where you have to pay a fixed amount each month is called an installment loan, and it'll show the full balance of the loan on your credit report, and each month as you have, you know, on-time payments, paying it down, and it'll decrease, okay? This isn't factored into your utilization, okay? So utilization is just for revolving accounts. You get a percentage of it. So this is, don't worry if there's a massive balance, okay? It's not a bad thing. If you've got like $100,000 on there that you owe and you're paying it down, it's not going to affect utilization or anything. So don't worry about that. But yeah, basically having a mix of different types of credits is going to help boost your score as long as all the other factors are okay. And it also kind of solidifies your score. You know, having a home loan or whatever that you're paying off on time every month gives your credit report a certain sense of maturity and will help to boost your score. And so people with credit reports that have all of these things, you know, they have the longer credit history, they have the longer on-time payment history, a larger number of accounts, and they've got the home loan information and stuff, their credit will gradually rise to 800. It's not necessarily going to happen in 1 year, but it will happen as you get, you know, further along towards 7 years, okay? And their account also will have a sort of robustness that an account, you know, a credit profile that is just made by getting, say, 5 credit cards, keeping utilization at 10% on those cards. Sure, you can get to like 720, 740 pretty quick by doing that, but at the end of the day, if you want to rise to the lofty heights, you need length of time. You need a length of time of on-time payments, you need credit history, and you also need the installment loan information, other types of credits. The installment loan information one, you could do it without it, but it just gives you that extra boost. All right, guys, so those are some pointers on how to improve your credit score once you are already up at lofty realms. As you probably got from this video, a lot of it is just a waiting game, but it's a waiting game whilst also maintaining best practices. So always paying on time. Do keep your utilization low, although utilization, if it's high, you know, in the future, that is something that can be rectified. So it's not something you just start with. You don't have to maintain utilization at 10% now and maintain that for 5 years. You know, it can be brought down pretty quickly and have a big impact on your score. So guys, leave your comments below if there's anything I missed out, or you have some input, you want to correct something, please do. We'll leave a link for some of the best credit cards on offer right now from our partners. If you want to learn more about those, you can click that link below. As always, please subscribe for new credit card tips and tricks pretty much every day now, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.